Hey again, it's Mark, and I'm coming with a new video. And as a heads up, this video isn't like in reference to the transaction or like the unboxing or boxing of the Black Lotus that has been consuming my life for a little bit here. It's more about addressing questions and concerns and just comments that people have been making in a private message, eBay messages, threads, and the like. I mean, one of the first questions I get a lot from people who aren't in the community is like, why does the Black Lotus cost so much? And like, why? And who are the type of people that have it? And why do I have it in the first place? Like, I want to take offense to that last one, but it's not a big deal because I don't have one of them anymore. To be frank. Well, I mean, the Black Lotus, like I mentioned, is in another video, and it's just like the most prized card in Magic the Gathering. Like a really good way to have an understanding of that is there's a mini documentary on YouTube. Like if you just type in Black Lotus in a YouTube search bar, you'll get that mini documentary. It has about 1.5 million views on it, so you can see that pretty readily. Essentially, the video is going to talk about like just the overall rarity of the whole set of Alpha, Beta, Unlimited, the first three sets that came out in the first year of Magic the Gathering. So the Black Lotus was never printed after that, along with the Moxen and the other Power 9. So they're just really rare, but also very good cards. Like if they were, I don't think the game developers realized how good they were. I mean, in actual play, people essentially wanted like a whole play set of 4 of those cards in their deck for each one of the Power 9, essentially. But there's a lot of nostalgia for people, and it's kind of like one of those, like in any collectible, any hobby, there's always like that prized possession. It's always going to be like the Black Lotus for the Magic the Gathering, and it was kind of like a chase card for a lot of people that play the game for a long time, or people that are like, want to jump, feet first into collecting all the badass cards, and they have a lot of money to spend about it. But that brings us to the money part. Like people ask me, like, what do I do to even have these cards in the first place? Well, I mean, that's a really good question, because this is my a lot of these cards are my personal collection. Like I did buy some collections to resell, yes, but for sure all these Power 9 cards were in my collection for a long time. These cards weren't always like $8,000. Like the Black Lotus in particular, that was sold for $8,500. Yeah, I bought that card. Gosh, okay. I think we can look this up. Just bear with me here. So, I've bought from Cool Stuff for a long time. Now, Cool Stuff Games is essentially basically a nationwide game store. Like even though it's located here in Central Florida, they're huge and they sell all over the country. And I was really thankful that we had a big store here in Orlando because it was easy to get cards of really anything. So, ever since like 2010, you can see here, like I'm always like I always buy cards like all the time. This is interesting. Back in 2010, I was inquiring about a Black Lotus and a Time Walk. I don't think I ever ended up ordering those because I didn't get a Black Lotus until I bought it from Troll and Toad in 2010, I believe. And that was the one that's on my eBay listings right now for like $7,500, because they graded it as like excellent minus, and I think that's representative of that card in particular. Where the one that sold last week that I lost was the one I bought from Cool Stuff, and that was in 2011. So this is like 9 years ago, 8.5, 9 years ago. I'm trying to locate it in all these damn purchases. Let's see. Maybe it was. I'm still in 2010. Oh, okay. So people ask like, how could I get this card? I mean, this is going to be the answer to that question. So I didn't pay for it in cash. I just did a massive a buy list with Cool Stuff games. And of course, when you do like a buy list, instead of getting cash, you can get like more store credit. So I just got a bunch of store credit, and I don't remember if these cards were like type 2 back then. I don't think they were. But if you look at the cards, and if you look at these cards on the screen, and if you look at my listings, like people ask me like, your card collection is like weird. It doesn't have new cards. It looks modern-esque, but not. You're right. I mean, the reality is my collection is based off, number one, me collecting, Power 9 and like Arabian Nights and Legend pieces. And also the rest of the cards were for EDH. Like I only played EDH. So these cards would have worked in EDH for sure. I mean, and I might have had multiples of one, and I wanted to sell them. But you notice I do have a lot of singles because EDH is like a singleton type of format. So I traded in a bunch of cards here, and you can see that. And the reason I did is because I kind of stalked the Cool Stuff website for a long time, trying to get a Black Lotus from them. And you saw that in an email correspondence like in 2010. So like a year later, they had one that was maybe affordable to me at the time. And it's funny to say affordable because you're going to see the price, and if you're not familiar with how Black Lotus is appreciated in value over time, it's going to be pretty shocking. Like I was pretty shocked because I don't even remember paying for it because it's been so long. I didn't know what I paid for it. But yeah, so this is the buy list that got me the money to get the Black Lotus in the first place. And I'm just using this moment to kind of reminisce about the card because it was a big deal for me, and I'm going to miss it a lot. I guess Loyal Retainers is just like the biggest card in this cell to Cool Stuff. Yeah, I guess. So, and then that netted me a decent chunk of change. Netted me $1,221. And you're asking yourself, wait, was that enough to pay for the Black Lotus? I'm like, the answer is yes. The answer is yes, because we get to this receipt, and I didn't even have to use all of it, because when you buy with Cool Stuff, like the more and more you buy, the higher like personal discount you have for purchases. So in this case, when it's a unique card, meaning a card that is individually photographed and stocked instead of a mass stocking of, let's say, like a Type 2 card. What are they called? Type 2 nowadays? Whatever it's called. That you get 5% off. But I think on the regular purchases of stock cards, it's something like 15% or 12%. It's more. But I didn't have to even use my entire gift certificate to get a Black Lotus. And that Black Lotus was $1,150 in 2011. $1,150. And you saw me try to sell it for $8,500. So we're talking in 9 years an appreciation of somewhere around, that's 700 to 800%. Right? So I can understand why now there is. I don't know if there was back then this idea of investment when it came to cards, because I don't think the inflationary period for these top end cards hit until like 2014, 2013, somewhere around there, where they kind of started to skyrocket. And I think they kind of maybe plateaued for a little bit, but they skyrocketed again a couple years ago. But yeah, I mean, it wasn't unreasonable really to have a Black Lotus, and this was my second one. And the Troll and Toad one was like $700. Like $700 for a mid-quality Black Lotus. But that's how I got them, and it's really, when I look back on it now, it's it really hits you. But I never really play with it, you know, but I did enjoy like looking at it a lot. Like if you can imagine, like I would always like just stare at it along with the other Black Lotus for a good while. But yeah, that's how I got it, and it's interesting, like yeah, because they weren't always crazy money. Like this wasn't like a $8,000 stable product. I mean, maybe a couple of years ago it wasn't even $8,000. Maybe a couple of years ago it was like 6 or 5. I'm not sure. You know, I didn't think myself of ever selling it, but you know, my family, we need the money now, so that's the whole purpose of me doing this whole Magic the Gathering thing. Another question people had was like, okay, so it's almost like not really a question, like kind of a conspiracy theory. And people would message me on eBay and be like, so like how's your store doing now? I'm like, well, I don't know, the worst or the same. But a lot of people message me now, and I don't know who to take seriously anymore on eBay, and it kind of irks me a little bit. But you know, we'll get over it. But for example, ever since the Black Lotus was sold, so that was on the 5th of May. So in 10 days, 11 days, $3,000. And most of it's because I sold one of my Mishras. So one of my Mishras sold, which is cool. It was kind of a decent quality, but that kind of boosted the number up a little bit, kind of skewed it up a little bit. But so did the Black Lotus. Like it's kind of skewed up the month of February too, but you know, now it's gone. But then, you know, other kind of mid-range cards, the Gaia's Cradle and the Dual Lands, Bloom Tender. I mean, I don't really see a lot of these anymore. So when they do sell, like that's cool, because I don't know if people really want them, but there's not many of them available. But you know, the rest of the way I make money, I mean, they're just like regular cards. I mean, a lot of EDH type of quality cards. Nothing new. Like they're all years old. But I had so many EDH decks. I mean, so many. Gosh. And that's why I had a lot of dual lands too, because I hated like switching the dual lands around and breaking the decks up. Because sometimes I would have my friends over and we just all play each other's decks, and I didn't want to have to rebuild them. And like again, like I said again, like dual lands weren't that expensive that long ago. I mean, like 10 years ago, they weren't expensive even. And I'm even trying to think of it in like inflation in the sense of the US dollar. I don't think they were that expensive for what we consider the price of these dual lands now. I think a lot of people consider dual lands kind of like this, like almost like a currency that you can count on, because they're so there's like a staple in Magic. I think people see it that way. But yeah, so I only play EDH, like I mentioned before, and I guess that takes us to another question where people would be like, why are you so like chill with what's happening? I mean, I'm not chill. I'm not happy with it. Like any person, be it me, you, some rich Magic the Gathering collector, like $8,500 is a lot of money. It's a lot of money for anybody. So it does suck for me, but like overreacting is, or over. I don't even want to use the word overreacting, because I think there's some justified level of reaction. It's just kind of how I look at a lot of things now. And I want to reference that to EDH, where I don't know if a lot of people play EDH, but there's something about EDH that makes people really upset or rage. Either it's the player base is just a certain way, or the type of play causes some type of buildup of like aggression or anger or unhappiness or resentment. Like even like I would play cool stuff sometimes, and not now, not recently. I think the last time I played Magic was actually at the Orlando GP. I don't know how long ago that was. Whenever the Orlando GP was, I went, and it was a great experience. Like seeing, I have a bunch of these like altered cards, like whoever like, I'll try to find it, but whoever like painted Sarah Ascendant, the first ones, Like he did this crazy like faded airbrushing all over the edges. It's so cool. Um, so yeah, so I only play EDH, and like there's a lot of attention when it comes to EDH, and I just like being around the cards. I like being around the people that play Magic, and just kind of taking that in, because I was never really good at it. I never trained myself to be good at it. I never set myself to have a play group to play like competitive, like current set Magic, what I consider Type 2. So EDH was a nice kind of casual medium where I can play and the games are kind of prolonged, so hopefully minor mistakes don't cost me immediately. But like a common thing that happens in EDH, if people like when the game is like first starting and someone casts their first creature, they don't know who to attack. Like they don't like there's this political thing, right? Like sometimes people are like rolling a dice to see who they're going to attack, and I'm like, but sometimes they have this like personal grudge and keep attacking the same person, or this person feels like they're being attacked more often than other people, and they get really angry, or they get really like vengeful, and there's like this kind of 1 versus 1 that's happening in your EDH play group, and it's like, hi, we're over here. So like when people are like, I don't know who to attack, I'm like, just attack me. Like I just want to be around it and have fun. Like losing, it's not the biggest of deals. Like it's really not. I guess losing the Black Lotus is kind of a big deal, but anyways, I digress. That's just my attitude. Like I just want to kind of be light about it, because I think a lot of people, a lot of guys when they're younger, they're a lot more angry. I think that's pretty common, and I don't really want to be angry all the time. I don't think it gets a lot done. So I hope that sheds some light on that particular question.